Good afternoon and welcome to Today on BayTV. We are live in Swansea on Monday the 10th of July 2017. I'm Henry Darby Cook, this is Liz Cairns, and today we're being joined by Clive Lloyd, the Deputy Leader for Swansea Council, and Spencer Feeney's back.
Well, thank you both for joining us. And Clive, before we start with you, should we have a little knowledge about what's been going on within the Swansea Council?
It's been a really busy couple of weeks while the leader, Councillor Rob Stewart, has had his more than well-deserved breakaway. But yeah, it's been a really busy couple of weeks. So what's dominated? Well, the safety of our residents who live in high-rise tower blocks in Swansea has dominated my time and the officers' time quite rightly. All along from the terrible, shocking events of the Grenville Tower disaster, our #1 priority has been the safety of our residents. So we've been spending the last two and a half, 3 weeks reassuring our residents that our tower blocks are safe, which we feel they are. So straight away, even before the government responded in telling us what tests we needed to carry out, we communicated with residents of all tower blocks throughout Swansea, sent the letters out. We put in place an advice line for residents to call. We made a decision quite quickly that all our refurbished blocks that now had sprinklers fitted, we would undertake a retrospective fitting of sprinklers in those blocks that didn't have sprinklers. We would put fire marshals in the buildings overnight as well to reassure residents. And assuring all that along the way has been the fire service who've assured that what actions we're taking are appropriate, measured, and reinforced that these blocks are safe. Government then told us that we needed to send off tests of cladding, the specific cladding on the outer of the building, which contained this aluminium composite material, ACM. We established that only 4 blocks in Swansea had that type of material. Not the same as Grenville in any way, shape or form, but it was what UK government advised us of the material that needed to be tested. So we sent those off. And what was interesting is that 2 things really. A, as a local authority, we never felt that was a sufficient test in itself. So just testing the cladding in isolation was going to prove some combustibility, because some of these ACM type cladding are of limited combustibility. And indeed, 180 councils throughout England had already failed the test. Yeah. So we knew that this wasn't going to pass the test. We couldn't get sort of any information from either Welsh Government or in turn from UK Government at what levels they were being tested at, because our understanding they were being tested higher than the British regulation standard. So what we were asking for was a full system test, and by that I mean a test of the actual complete installation of the cladding, which included the breaks between the cladding and the building wall itself, which contained the fire breaks, that even if the material does combust, that installation is the process that actually stops it from spreading and contains it, or stops from impacting the building. And it really hit home to me when somebody described what that full system test meant as opposed to the individual cladding test, because we get into a vehicle that contains combustible material every day. It's called our cars. And if you were to test the petrol in isolation, then it would fail the test. Yeah. But it's this whole system around the petrol that protects you every time you get into the car. And it's the same sort of message, I guess, from the full system test of the cladding. So we knew we were going to fail the cladding test in isolation. So I spoke on many occasions last week to Welsh Government, to the Minister Carl Sargent, who came down to Swansea last week, incidentally, to visit Klein Court, that to get full reassurance we needed this full system test. We found out towards the end of last week that the manufacturer of this cladding had instructed the British Research Establishment, which was the government organisation carrying out all the testing, for this full system test on a system and cladding identical to those used in Klein Court and in Penlan, and they had passed the British regulation test. So again, just to be clear, a full system test on the cladding and system that we use in Swansea has passed the British regulation standard. So towards the end of last week, we felt reassured that we were able to pass that on to residents, to give that, again, that final sort of reassurance that our blocks are safe. And I'm pleased to announce that towards the end of last week as well, UK government have taken that on board, and now they've asked for the same full system test to be carried out on the various blocks throughout England and Wales. So we'd still like final clarification from the UK government, from the Department of Communities and Local Government, to be passed down to Welsh Government, to pass on to us that they are happy that that test is complete. But we are assured, again, working with the fire service, that we're in that position now.
So then, if that's the case, the fires, or if a fire did actually happen, the fire would be contained within that flat. Would you then advise people to still stay in their properties? Because that was one of the things that they had said within the Grenfell. Yeah, again, I'll reiterate, we've continued to work closely with the fire service. And listen, my understanding is that's still the advice from the fire service. Yeah. That is the advice.
Well, let's move on to some of the things, maybe more positive things. Obviously, the air show was last weekend. Another great success by the sounds of it.
Fantastic. It's, you know, it just gets better and better every year. I attended on both days. I'd like to say I had some influence with the weather, but unfortunately, Swansea Council remit doesn't extend that far. But yeah, we couldn't have asked for better weather, for better conditions. And it was a pleasure to walk. I walked from the Civic Centre down to the Cenotaph, and it was a pleasure to see so many people there. And what a fantastic day. The red arrows never cease to amaze me in its flying skills. But yeah, it was absolutely fantastic. A great advert for Swansea. I believe up to 250,000 people attended over the 2 days. So we couldn't have asked for better. And you know, I look forward. We've got a few other events through the summer lined up, and Ollie Moors, and we've got the proms in the park later on. So yeah, it's looking good. And I hope people enjoy what we're trying to do and put on for people.
Was the road closure a success? Did it do what you wanted it to do?
It did. Listen, the road closure was on advice. You know, taking into account again the terrible events in Manchester and London. So that was the advice, and quite rightly we should act on that advice. I personally thought it was a success. You know, walking down Oystermouth Road, you know, it seemed to give people far more space. You know, for families to enjoy the event. But you know, we'll continue to work on whatever advice we're given, and we'll review it for next year. We're always trying to review and make the event better, so that'll form part of our sort of fallout session from the event, I guess.
And I know it's still early days, but what kind of effect did this have on kind of community and, you know, bringing money to the area for that weekend?
Well, you only have to look at the numbers that are attended. You know, I know if you walk along the front, all the stores that were set up, I know they all seemed to be busy. There were queues outside of them. So traders that had pictures directly in front of the air show seemed to do very, very well. But I'm sure, you know, we'll have to speak to BID in a few weeks' time. The Traders Association sort of in Swansea. But I'm sure, as in other years, they would have seen some benefit as well. So, you know, people will come and stay over in our hotels as well for the event. It is Wales's national air show, so quite rightly, you know, people are coming from far afield to attend that, and we'll just look to build on it and make it an even bigger success next year.
Spencer, I know you caught some of it from your garden. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, very much so, yes. I think it's the Mumbles traders, isn't it, who have some gripes about the effect of the road closure. And I understand why the road was closed with the security issues, and possibly moving forward that will be repeated and be a constant. So I guess you'll have to find a way to overcome that issue for the Mumbles traders to ensure that they benefit from what is a fantastic weekend as much as all the other traders around the Bay. I also think it just shows what an incredible asset the Bay is and the potential that the Bay contains for Swansea.
Definitely.
I think more things we need to find ways to use the Bay more.
I absolutely agree. Listen, it all fits in with our plans for the city deal, for the city centre regeneration. The Bay is our unique selling point, isn't it? You know, there can't be many other cities certainly in Wales or in the UK that have got that coastline.
You there, but
yeah,
thank you so much. Next, we'll be keeping both Clive and Spencer on the sofa and be looking at today's papers.
See you in a minute.
Welcome back to Today on BayTV. I'm Liz Cairns and with me is Henry Darby Cook, and we're still with Clive Lloyd, Deputy Leader for Swansea Council, and Spencer Feeney.
Before we have a little look at what happened in the papers, Liz, obviously we didn't get onto it on this day in part one, but there's one standout one that links perfectly with a story in the papers. So in 2000, Coldplay released their debut album, Parachutes. It won a Grammy, which is amazing, obviously, for a British band. But this links greatly to a story in the papers, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Over the weekend, Coldplay were playing in their concert, and a young gentleman who was in a wheelchair, somebody accidentally fell on him, was it?
Yeah, that's correct, yeah.
And he was all apologetic, bless him. But his friends that were with him decided to lift him up so that it wouldn't happen again. And whilst he was up in the air, Chris Martin obviously saw him and invited him up onto the stage. And not only was he on the stage, he had his harmonica with him and also played along with him. We have a fabulous little video to show as well.
Oh, I don't think we've got the clips.
We haven't got the video, but it was a lovely little thing and a fab story to open up with. Into the papers, we have a combination of the Metro, which is saying our right to give Charlie a chance, the Daily Mail, Charlie's Day of Destiny, the Sun, give our Charlie a miracle, and the Daily Mirror, our Charlie is still fighting and so are we.
So, now, if you give us the background on this, for anyone that doesn't know.
What it is, Charlie Gard, who's 11-month-old baby, he was in Great Ormond Street, and they had said that basically they were going to end his life support. He has a rare genetic condition, mitochondrial depletion, which depletes he basically can't breathe on his own or walk on his own without the ventilator. But what his parents were trying to fight against was to take him out of hospital and send him to America for treatment. But it had gone to the High Court. They had said, no, it's going to be unfair on this child. He's in pain and there's no way that any other treatment is going to help him. We have two videos. One is of a parent that has his child has the same genetic disease. He was told the same thing, but we'll see now from the parent what happens with his child first.
This gentleman is saying is totally 100% false. My son has been on a ventilator for 5 years. He's getting stronger. When he got home 4 years ago, he couldn't move anything, only his eyes. Now he could move his hands, he could move his feet, he could move his fingers. He's a happy boy. Sir, you are totally 100% wrong. Charlie Gard is a human being and he deserves the opportunity to live.
Yes,
and
but
his parents
do you know the full details of his case as the
Now, because of this child, the parents of Charlie Gard had decided they wanted to continue to fight for him to have this treatment abroad into America. Trump had actually backed this, and the Vatican as well had backed it. The Vatican had said that he could stay in their hospital, but it wasn't the fact of whether they had the money, they'd raised the money. It was down to the High Court and whether it was humane for him to actually leave the hospital and to go. But today, at some point, it's going to be, whether it'll be overturned, we do not know, but it has actually gone back to the High Court, and we now have Charlie Gard's parents stating why and about the backing that they've had from the people and other people as well.
For being here, obviously, as Alice has said, to the over 350,000 people that have signed the petition. Our special thanks go to obviously America and everyone in Rome who are supporting us and believe that Charlie deserves this treatment, as he rightly does, as we believe. And
thank you to the public as well in the UK
and to the media for supporting our cause, for what is right. You know, we are trying to take our son from one hospital where they do a lot of specialities there, and it's a fantastic hospital. They do great things there, but unfortunately they're not specialists in Charlie's condition. The specialists are in America, where we want to go, and I just want to thank everybody really.
There's now 7 doctors supporting us from all over the world, from Italy, from America, from England as well. And yeah, that think that this has a chance. It's got you know, up to 10% chance of working for Charlie, and we feel that that's a chance worth taking.
How do you both feel about the fact that should it be down to the parents' choice?
That's really difficult, isn't it? Because if you say that ultimately in every case the parent must have the final say, you are effectively taking the state out of child issues, and if you reflect on that could end very badly. We've seen plenty of examples where state intervention has saved children's lives. So I don't think you can have a situation where you simply say as a blanket that it's always the parent who knows best and it's always the parent to make the final decision. Separately from that, from the actual case with Charlie Gard, I think the key thing is when the High Court made its decision, it was based upon medical evidence that the experimental treatment, and it is experimental treatment in the States, there was no evidence that it would significantly have any effect on this child's condition. Now that seems to be being disputed, and as the child's mother there said, there are apparently 7 doctors who are saying that they believe the experimental treatment will make a significant difference. I'm not sure we'll get a final decision from the High Court today. I think it'll probably go to another. I think what might happen today is the High Court will say, yes, this can go forward, and we look at it again and then make a final decision. But as any parent, your heart will go out to this. This is such a dilemma for any parent to be faced with.
Clive, coming to you, this is such a high-profile case, obviously with the Vatican and Trump also kind of getting behind it. Do you think it makes it somewhat unfair, I guess, on the UK government who are making these decisions, and obviously the parents, and then suddenly it's the world media involved?
Oh, listen, it's where do you start? You know, there's so much emotion in this, and I've no doubt that, you know, the professional people, the medical people who are making this judgment are absolutely doing it with the best of intentions, as Spencer said. You know, it is about quality of life, and it is trying to do the best for the little boy. But who can blame a parent for not wanting to extend that quality of life? I know personally, my eldest brother was born spina bifida back in the late 1950s, which in that time there wasn't a lot known about that either. And that within the first 5 days were critical, and there was a chance that he wouldn't survive. But he lasted 29 years through adversity, through a lot of difficulty. But, you know, you wouldn't swap those 29 years for anything. And just a few, even if it's a few months, you can understand why parents feel so strongly. It's such a difficult one. And I absolutely get where both sides are coming from on this. But yeah, well, you know, with so many people getting involved, emotions quite rightly are going to be running high. But we'll wait to see what the ruling is. I suspect the ruling may come out in favour now of the parents.
It might possibly get reversed, yes.
Yeah, like you said, we'll just have to wait and see now, and we'll obviously follow the story.
We will, and we'll update you tomorrow.
Definitely. Moving on, in the Financial Times, Mosul, it's also in all the other papers as well. Mosul moment, Iraq declares victory over ISIS after 8-month battle for city. I can show the video first of all, and then we can all speak about it.
Ali says he spoke to his brother on this phone while he was trapped somewhere under the rubble. And then he stopped answering.
This territory just up there is still under IS control, just a small parcel of land, and families are making their way through any way they can. And as you can see,
well, it's the liberation of Mosul. I don't think it's the end of ISIS, is it? Because it's not an army as such. It's one of those battles, I think, that will go on, and these jihadi groups are very good at melting away into the desert, reforming, re-emerging. So while I think it's a significant moment, nobody should think it's the end of ISIS.
No. What I wanted to touch on was the actual survivors and also the people who still have to live there. Their lives are totally ruined, although it is a victory to the town. we still have to think of the other people that's been left behind and the people that are still looking for their families and that as well. But it is a victory. Whether you said it's a small victory, but
I think it's a significant victory.
Yes. Sorry, I'm going to have to stop you there though. But next, we're keeping Spencer on the sofa and we've invited Keith Milward.
See you then.
Welcome back to Today on BayTV. I'm Liz Cairns and with me is Henry Darby Cook, and it's movie time. Spencer Feeney and Keith Milward have joined us.
So Spencer, we'll start with you. Spider-Man Homecoming. Yeah,
yet another Spider-Man movie and the latest film in the universe of Marvel comic-based superhero movies. I think we've got a clip we can have a look at before we talk further.
Brilliant.
Spider-Man from YouTube. I'm not. You were on the ceiling.
What was it? Ned, what are you doing in my room?
Man, let me in. You said we're gonna finish a Death Star. She doesn't know.
Nobody knows. Well, I mean, Mr. Stark knows because he made my suit, but that's it.
Well, Tony Stark made you that. Are you an Avenger?
Yeah, basically. Dude, you can't tell anybody about this. You gotta keep it a secret.
A secret? Why?
Because you know what she's like. If she finds out people try and kill me every single night, she's not gonna let me do this anymore.
Okay. I'll level with you. I don't think I can keep this a secret. This is the greatest thing that's ever happened to me.
I can't believe this is happening.
Definitely full of comedy already.
Right. And now, when we spoke last week about Baby Driver, remember I said that I thought that film had a wider appeal than I'd anticipated and wouldn't appeal exclusively or mainly to young audiences. Now, I think this film actually will appeal much more to young audiences than to older audiences. And the clip you just saw there showed two of the reasons why. One is Tom Holland has been cast as Spider-Man again, for his second time, and previous actors who've played the role, Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, were much older than Tom Holland. And I think Tom Holland is very convincing as a teenager. So I think that will appeal. Also, of course, as you saw there, the film very heavily involves his schoolmates, and much of it is set actually in his high school.
Okay.
So I think for both of those reasons, actually, quite a young audience will really, I think, engage with this film. You would think that Peter Parker, Spider-Man, being a superhero on the side, would be the coolest kid in school. But actually, it's not. Holland plays him, as you saw there, nervy, a bit nerdy. Him and his best friend Ned love to make Star Wars Lego models. And he has a crush on the generally coolest girl in the school, who he thinks is probably way outside of his dating league. So I think how much you engage with all the school settings, the pool parties, the prom dances, the school quizzes, probably depends a bit on how many years ago your own school years ended. And that's why I think young audience will really engage with that. Fortunately for oldies like me, Michael Keaton gives an absolutely brilliant performance as the villain in this film called The Vulture. And he's a very interesting villain because he's not a megalomaniac who wants to run the world. He's not an alien with supernatural powers. He's basically a hard-working guy who gets turned over by the US government, is faced with possibly losing his home, and his family will be homeless, and he turns to crime. And
and is this by salvaging kind of all the old Avengers battlefields?
He turns to crime by selling weapons to gangsters. It just happens that these weapons come from alien technology, so they're fairly destructive. And there's one point where Peter Parker, Spider-Man, confronts him and says, well, whatever's happened to you, there's no justification for making money by selling weapons. And Keaton's character, the Vulture, turns around and says, well, how do you think your mate Tony Stark, brackets Iron Man, got rich in the first place? He was a weapon dealer. So it turns it around nicely.
It's good to see the motivation, isn't it? I like that.
Yeah, the motivation is, as somebody said, he's the first credit crunch villain in a superhero movie. And also, at one point, he says to Peter Parker, we built their roads, we fought their wars, but they don't care about us. And that's almost a very Trumpian sort of statement. I think that, again, that would chime very much with people who feel at the moment in society that it's all of us who are striving, and then there's them, the Tony Starks, if you like, the super rich, who exploit, gain, and don't care. So actually, it's not a simple, straightforward superhero movie. Like many films now, it's got layers and various things to take out of it. Yes.
Robert Downey Jr. is back as Iron Man as well, obviously, so a huge cast. How is he? Is he ageing well as Tony Stark?
Yes, I would like to see a little bit more of him, actually. He kind of fits in and out of the film as Spider-Man's mentor, and Spider-Man is trying to balance life as an ordinary schoolboy and a superhero, and dealing with this new threat from the Vulture, and also wants to be accepted into the Avengers Hall. And really, they're not that keen on having him. They don't think that he's ready for it. They still see him really as a boy. At one point, Robert Downey Jr.'s character, Iron Man, says to him, "Be quiet, the adults are talking now." And so those layers, and again, that will chime with a younger audience, I think. So I'd like to see a little more of him. But for me, Michael Keaton is the star of this film. He's on such a roll, isn't he? Some of the films he's made the last couple of years, like the Founder, Spotlight, Birdman. I still think Michael Keaton was the best Batman. But he is really on a roll of good films, I think, and this is another really good performance by him. Also, can I just mention Jacob Batalon, who you just saw in the clip as Ned, Spider-Man's best friend. He's a scene stealer as well. He is really
the comedy
good.
factor,
really,
definitely.
Really good.
Yeah.
Yes.
So come on then, hit us with it. What's the star rating?
Okay, well this is essentially an old-fashioned high school movie with extracurricular activities that involve superheroes. 4 stars.
Brilliant.
Awesome.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah, go and see it. It's very enjoyable. Good summer movie again.
Well, the thing with Marvel is obviously if you're invested in the Marvel universe, you kind of have to see it to understand what's happened before and what's coming next.
Well, interestingly, right at the start of the film, it starts off several months after the Battle for New York, which ended Captain America Civil War. And if you haven't seen all the other Marvel films, and I haven't, for the first 10 minutes you are kind of finding your feet a little to work out exactly what's going on, which was a little also complicated for me. In the screening I went to, the sound didn't work for the first 2 minutes. Right. So that really complicated thing. But I think, so, yeah, it helps if you know the whole universe, I suppose, the Marvel universe, but it's not essential. I mean, it was my first Spider-Man movie. I haven't seen that many Marvel movies. I've seen a couple of Thor movies, and I think I saw one Avengers Assemble. You very quickly pick it up, and I think Marvel Studios make a point of constructing a self-contained story, and this one is self-contained within the high school context.
I've always been surprised with the Spider-Man films. I've ended up enjoying them more than I thought because they have a story. That's the thing.
Yes.
Did you say for the end credits? There's always a Marvel teaser after the credits have rolled.
No, I didn't.
I would actually. Because I do always think
there'll be a nod to the next film.
I'll have to go back.
Right. Right, okay, I have to go back and see and hope the sound is working.
Keith, we haven't got long left, but obviously there's a huge amount of films on
Yes,
Talking Pictures.
we're having emails and letters saying how much people are enjoying the Talking Pictures films, and on a Sunday there's the Dick Powell Theatre. We've had
we've had a lot of tweets about this, actually.
Yeah, people are enjoying. I'd also say that a highlight is A Family at War. That's the TV series, the Grada TV series. It was hugely popular in the 1970s. Yes. Is there a chance to show some of the
I think of that? We'll have a little...
Yes, yes. Just to
Come down for a while, pick up another, like a bit of knitting.
What?
Children.
This is a war. There are bloodstains on the floor over there, bodies rotting in the hills.
But it chokes me, because you are, without a doubt, the most vindictive and objectionable man I've ever met.
Good heavens, what are you doing up at this time of night?
I thought someone had left the light on.
Am I a genius, or am I not?
The iconic ITV series that played to an estimated 25 million TV audience. It tells the story of the Ashton family in Liverpool. The pressures of the remaining family at home during World War II. Coming soon on Talk.
That looks quite good.
Yeah.
Well, yes, it is very well. 25 million viewers.
25
Those
million
were the
viewers.
days. No, but,
Wow.
you know, but
So what
yes.
channel was it on originally?
That was Granada,
Okay.
and then on the ITV network then. So Keith Drinkle and Barbara Flynn, of course, and all the host of our favourites there. And this afternoon's film is Secret Mission, so that's about British intelligence looking at German-occupied France, a 1942 film starring James Mason. So lots to enjoy.
Yeah, everybody will have to tune in and see that.
Definitely.
Thank you both.
Next, we're keeping Keith here and we're inviting Scott Jones to the sofa and we're going to be talking what's coming up in the local area. Welcome back to your final part of Today on BayTV. I'm Henry Darby Cook. Still with me is Liz Cairns and Keith Milward, and also Scott Jones has now joined us.
So, Keith, tell us what's been going on.
Well, Scott is one of the stars of Stars Theatre Company.
Oh, yes.
And, well, you've already got such a good roster of shows that you've had success. Into the Woods and... there
was Rent, there was Chess, and we've had so many successful shows over the past few years, being our 5th anniversary as well, of Oklahoma as well.
Yes, yes.
Being our 5th anniversary this year, so it's been very, very busy indeed.
So what are the plans for the next few months?
So this month now, at the end of this month, the 26th of July, we've got a concert going in Brinton Ferry Community Hall. So it's £5 a ticket, isn't that fantastic? £5 a ticket, all raising funds for the next show, of course. And then September, brilliant show, which is Jekyll and Hyde.
Oh,
I can't stress so much how much I'm loving the show at the moment. Being part of the cast, being part of the production, it's absolutely superb. No words can describe it. I mean, the cast have worked so hard. Big shout out to the guys. You know, they've worked so hard, and it's, of course, 5th till the 7th of September this year in the Princess Royal Theatre, one of my favourite theatres.
How long have you been rehearsing for?
We've been rehearsing now since January.
Oh, right, gosh, long time.
So it's been a long time coming, so we can't wait. We can't wait.
And you've been saying about the guys, so who are the guys who are putting it together?
Of course, there's Ashley Wilkes and Simon Dunsford, who are the MD, and of course the director, and they've worked really hard. They have. We can't stress how much we thank the guys so much for putting the production on, from dealing with all of our drama queenness, should we say? Because we're all the same.
Of course, you got Lorne then playing.
Yes.
Remind her the full name of Lorne.
Lorne Taylor.
Oh yes,
He is playing Jekyll and Hyde, and he's obviously from Newport. You know, very nice gentleman from Newport. He came down, auditioned for us, and he stole it. You know, that's done so well for himself. You know,
you've got to play the two characters. Robert Louis Stevenson book, isn't it, that it's based on? But the writer Frank Wildhorn, and the well-known song I've heard you sing from it.
This is the moment.
This is the moment. Yes,
it's such a powerful number. You know, especially because we watch Lorne in rehearsals, progressing every single rehearsal, and when he sings the song more and more, you think, oh, he's getting better and better and better, and that's what we want. As a cast, we want to see everybody thrive.
It was a huge success on Broadway, and yet it's never been seen in the West End of London, not in a mainstream theatre. It's been done on the fringe, and it's popular with other theatre companies to put on Jekyll and Hyde. But it's a mystery to me. It's the same with other Wildhorn shows, Frank Wildhorn shows. In 2 weeks' time, Wonderland is coming to the Grand Theatre.
Wonderful.
Yes, so we've got the poster now for Jekyll and Hyde.
It's very dramatic, actually.
Yes, well, that is Lorne, isn't it? In his two guises, you can see how different he is, isn't it? You know, so that's coming up now. So early booking is advised for this particular production.
Yes.
But of course, you've got the concert now coming up.
Yes, it's a night at the musicals. So every single member in the company either does a duo or a solo, and can come down. Everyone around Swansea can come down.
What are you singing that night?
I haven't an idea yet.
I have to make some suggestions. A tremendous singer. But where did it start with you? Where did you start?
With me, I started when I was very, very young. You know, I was about 3 or 4 in the school productions, and I was getting into character, and I loved acting. As a youngster, I used to love acting. So I'd usually go downstairs with my parents, watch a film, and I'd just be like playing the characters, you know, playing furry characters. My ultimate favourite film has got to be Toy Story. You know, I grew up with the Toy Story films, and every single new Toy Story film that comes out, I'm thinking to myself, I am Buzz Lightyear. You know, I like he was my sort of fusty character. You know, it was fantastic.
So did you compete in these Steddfards, being in the Welsh school?
Yes. Being in a Welsh school, I did many school Steddfards, from the Sioe Cerdd to Party Bechgyn, sorry. And then I did a couple of solo things, but nothing massive. You know, it was nice. You know, it was comfortable to be part of the school culture, and that's what I tried to.
Yes,
exactly, and that's what I want to try and push as well. Well, not myself, but I'd like to see more of that.
Yeah.
You know, with the schools having the children participate and educating them in theatre.
Yeah.
That's what I like to see.
Yeah.
Well, so much talent coming through, and of course, this week we're all looking forward to a great production that's happening in Llanelli. It's the Performance Factory putting on A Chorus Line. Now, Dean was here, Dean Verbeck was here last week, and we were explaining that it was at one time the longest running show on Broadway. It was then Cats came along, but it says a lot about the popularity, and it's a very special show because Michael Bennett, the director, just assembled actor and dancer friends and got them to record, like with the tape recorder, their own stories. And from those stories was then concocted the musical, A Chorus Line. So you hear each of their stories. Just heard your story. Each of their stories, how they got into it, and what the pitfalls are about going into entertainment career. So I think we've got a clip for the Performance Factory's production.
Shall we have a little look?
Oh yes, please.
Oh. We haven't. I don't think
it's not. Oh, there we are. The gremlins are in today, aren't they? But no, the Chorus Line does play at the Foreigners Theatre in Llanelli, and that's between the 11th and 14th. So that's from tomorrow until Friday.
Yes. And I mean, that is a fantastic theatre. Sorry.
We've actually got the video. So let's see it. Powerful voice.
Isn't she great? She was here, wasn't she?
Ellie is absolutely
superb.
Absolutely superb.
Absolutely. So that's very best wishes to the Performance Factory now this week. On the 15th, sorry, of July, it's Llaisiau Hardd concert, the annual concert, with Mark Llewellyn-Evans as guest. And he has been featured in the Sherlock films.
He was here last week or the week before, doing ABC Opera.
About the opera, of course he was. You know, so that's again in the Foreigners Theatre, and then there's plenty going on in the Grand Theatre. We're going on a bear hunt. That's so popular with the little uns.
It is, yes.
So that's playing from the 11th, that's tomorrow, isn't it, till the 13th of July. But be careful because it's matinee, morning matinee, afternoon matinee. So my suggestion is to look at the Grand Theatre website for that. Something which is very special on Friday is Film Fridays, but this particular Friday in the arts wing of the Grand, there's a live pianist playing to the silent films, and that's something very impressive, isn't it? When that's done, you know, and improvisation really to the films. So that's with the live pianist. So there's an afternoon show at 2, and there's one at 6:30. Halfway to Paradise then is playing the 14th of July. That's the Billy Fury story. That's in the Grand Theatre with original members of the Billy Fury a band then, you know. So Colin Gold plays Billy Fury, and he is exceptional. So there's Groundswell Dance Company with Grandma's Tale. That sounds very interesting. It's like a dance version or an updated version of Little Red Riding Hood. So that's later this week. Contemporary jazz style in the Grand Theatre. And then a little bit further afield, up in the Princess Royal, where you will be performing later this year, is Dance Wales UK with dancers, cheerleaders, acrobats, and that's the 15th of July, 7 o'clock. And we mustn't forget at the Taliesin Theatre, they have one of the live screenings, and this Thursday it's Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf with Imelda Staunton, of course. You know, so that's got to be incredible. So there's plenty going on, isn't there? You know, there is. You know, so despite the summer months, and you think, oh, it's a bit quieter time entertainment-wise, but you can prove lots is going on.
Oh, definitely, there's lots going on around the
Thank you both for joining us today.
Thank you.
And thank you to all our guests today and all our viewers.
And today's film is Secret Mission, starring James Mason.
And with that, we'll see you tomorrow.